Hey everybody, it is day 2 at South by Southwest, and I'm actually really excited. This is someone who I've been following for a very, very long time, very impactful in the crypto space from all different levels. I mean, from a voice at the regulatory level, a voice of inclusion. Cleve Mesidor, thank you for coming and joining us here at South by Southwest in the Stellar Lounge. How you been enjoying it?
Oh my goodness, this is like my 4th or 5th South by Southwest, so I'm enjoying it, and I'm particularly excited to be in the Stellar Lounge.
Right. Well, you know, for a lot of folks that may have been under a rock somewhere and just turned this on, you know, give us a little background, because I think it's an incredible story.
Yeah, I first learned about blockchain and cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically, when I served in the Obama administration. So I have a public policy background. I worked in Congress, worked in CNN's Washington Bureau, worked in national campaigns, and when I was serving in the Obama administration at the Department of Commerce as a presidential appointee, a friend had a Bitcoin project and actually asked me to help him with the press release. I did. This was 2013, so Bitcoin stayed in my radar, but it wasn't until about 2015, 2016 when I actually went down that rabbit hole. And in 2017, I moved back to New York from DC and got immersed into the New York City ecosystem, which was so innovative, so much going on, that by that summer, I actually quit my job, decided to become a startup founder. I was going to build a product on Ethereum for disruptors called Logos.
Wow, okay.
Then the best and worst thing that happened to crypto occurred. December 2017, Bitcoin hit 20,000. The industry lost its mind, but Washington started paying attention.
Right.
So 2018, we had this conversation about the regulatory environment. And at that time, there weren't that many of us who actually had Washington background and crypto experience. So for me, I had to lean back to Washington because I knew there'd be a need to have conversations with the Black Caucus, Hispanic Caucus, API Caucus. So I felt like I left Washington to come into this innovation space to be a founder. And now I've been able to be at that intersection of public policy and innovation, which is awesome.
Nah, that's incredible, and it's clear, and it's interesting how that kind of played out. You know, you talked about your experience in the Obama administration. We have now the Biden, his former VP is now president. That's got to be pretty cool. You know, the executive order just came out, so I mean, there's so much to talk about there, right? You remember when, you know, there wasn't any sort of, you know, discussion at a high level with blockchain and crypto. You mentioned the 20,000 hit.
Yeah.
It hit everybody's radar, like, you know, holy crap, what's going on here? We got to figure this out. First of all, what was your thoughts, you know, when you saw the executive order coming out? What was your initial reaction?
Yes. Finally, oh my God, they have been threatening to do this for a year now.
Okay.
So you know, obviously, as you've mentioned, the Biden administration has taken their time on crypto, and especially since coming in, it's all about COVID, right? And then we've had this economic downturn to deal with. So last year, the first step that the administration took was launching this report, the President's Working Group on digital assets. They put out a report on stablecoins, which was to try to direct Congress to really start thinking about stablecoins.
Okay.
And then they talked about appointing a crypto czar, somebody out of the White House that would be this person that would be that conduit. So to see the executive order come through is a positive sign, because I think there's been some friction between Congress and regulatory agencies about what is the path forward when it comes to the regulatory framework. So we were optimistic, but pleasantly surprised that the executive order focuses on entrepreneurship, innovation, and competitiveness, which is where it should be. And obviously, you know, it's really calling for a study of the study.
Right.
But to put crypto into this context of innovation and competitiveness, and also to further the deepening the conversation around a CBDC, it was a win, right?
Right.
A win is we have to measure success, right? So it's a good path forward. Obviously for me, I'm very focused on not just financial inclusion and economic empowerment. So my hope is that this will lead to a greater conversation about having more voices from the Black and Latino community so that we can have an inclusive policy making as we're putting this together, but also making sure that we are prioritizing access to capital for entrepreneurs, skills training, so that we can prepare people for the jobs of the future. So if we're having this whole conversation about the future of work, which sounds so sexy, right? It's really about just making sure people have the skills. So blockchain and cryptocurrency has to be on the table when it comes to the future of work.
That's exciting. So, my background is actually as an entrepreneur. My wife and I, we had a real estate company. We just sold that. I'm kind of like you. I just sold. We had a management company. We sold so I'm going full time with crypto now. And the main motivation that, for founding Stellar Global, and being involved with the network is the focus on on creating access to the financial network. You mentioned something about access to capital, right? And it is something I've even seen tweeted around here at South by Southwest is getting that sort of access. Coming from the traditional world, what people don't realize is that banking is very much on who you know. It's a contact sport.
Unfortunately, it is.
Right.
And when it comes to this whole thing about access to capital, people take it for granted. What it means is, at least the context I come from, small business is still the engine of America's economy. That means as we go into an innovation economy, our small businesses are entrepreneurs, startups, and independent contractors, e-commerce businesses. So those entities are probably not going to get VC funding, right? But we still have to make sure that these founders can actually take their products to market. So when you look at being able to having the federal government innovate the 7A loan program so it's more flexible.
Man, yes, you're talking my language there, 7A loan program,
So right now, most blockchain founders couldn't access it. Even Black and Latino founders that actually are looking at financial inclusion. So yes, we need to innovate that. We need to actually create more access, more capital programs for entrepreneurs because it's directly related to competitiveness. And also, as the industry goes, and one of the things I love about Stellar, they're creating this whole network and supporting entrepreneurs within the crypto ecosystem, right?
Yes.
Because a lot of these micro entrepreneurs, they actually have the networks in the communities that we actually need to engage. For myself, I'm a member of a sorority. I'm an AKA, so ski to my sorority.
I know my sister-in-law, she just got excited right now. Yep. Okay. All right.
I'm an HBCU grad from Howard University.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, I'm from the Caribbean, so I have all of these networks to tap. So when you look at, being able to scale and in a decentralized manner, we need to make sure there are more resources for entrepreneurs to grow.
Absolutely. I love it. See, now you see why I had to have you come in and swing by the lounge. You mentioned the SDF, right? And I know that you've had a growing relationship over. I think, matter of fact, that's how you came across the radar. You were part of Meridian, and for what I'm hearing, you've been doing a lot of things, with them over the years. I was just hoping maybe you could expound on that and give some background on how that relationship started.
Yeah. So one of the hats that I wear right now is I'm an advisor to the Blockchain Association, including leading the National Policy Network of Women of Color in Blockchain.
Wow.
And Stellar is one of the members of the Blockchain Association. So through my work with the Blockchain Association, I've been able to coordinate with Stellar on various projects. Again, focus on, fostering innovation, but also inclusion. So it's wonderful that they're one of, of my favorite Blockchain Association companies, but also they're focused on the great things. And they have a badass female CEO.
Oh, yes. Shout out to Danelle. No, Danelle. It's, you heard me talk about family all the time because they're always watching. My mom watches, and I guarantee you, I remember when she first, I did an interview with Danelle, she was like, I like her. She's like, baby, I like, she's a fan of Danelle. So yeah, shout out to Danelle Dixon and my mom for watching, by the way. Appreciated the one view I get guaranteed for these interviews. Something that's kind of littered throughout our conversation so far is the opportunity.
Yeah.
And a potential huge impact for Black and Latino men and women that are out there to really have a seat at the table with blockchain. We've seen the craze of NFTs, and something that I think that people took for granted. They're like, oh, it's just, it's just doodles on the screen. But something we were talking about earlier is the huge impact, especially for our communities, that it poses. I was just curious to get your thoughts on what blockchain and NFTs, kind of open the door to.
Yeah. And the good thing is we now have data that shows that Black and Latino communities are leading national adoption of cryptocurrency by double digits.
Really? That is huge. Okay.
Huge. There was a Chicago North poll that showed that, a Harvard Harris poll that shows that, as well as a Morning Consult poll. So it's indisputable. This is what crypto looks like.
Wow,
right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge.
And one of the reasons for that is the people gravitating towards crypto are the folks who have been locked out of the traditional financial system. And when people hear that, they actually think of just the unbanked. And absolutely, right now, 63 million Americans are either unbanked, underbanked, or lack access to the traditional financial system. So yes, when it looks like that, look at that number for the Black and Latino community, isn't the unbanked, people who never had a bank account, but it is also entrepreneurs like us, professionals like us, right, who make good money, right, within a household, $250,000.
I'm going to start preaching in here. Go ahead, keep going.
but we have always been, it was challenging for us to access new financial assets class, right? Build wealth. Things like the SEC's accredited investor rule is intended to keep us out.
It's so true.
Even though we got the degrees, we actually are professionals, we're doing the right things, right? So it's not just the unbanked, it's professionals who have been locked out. And then also, it is our institutions, right? Our nonprofits, some of our businesses. One of the examples I like to share is Black churches, right? Black churches tend to deposit hundreds of thousands of dollars a year into their bank accounts, right? Some of them $500,000, $250 million. Those same institutions cannot get get a loan from that same bank. How is it that I, as an institution, annually deposit, let's say $250,000, but I don't qualify for a loan from you? And it doesn't make sense.
And people don't, like you said, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation because, I remember first getting involved, even talking to folks at Stellar about, the unbanked. And I remember saying exactly what you just said, is that, no, this is my community. This is my community because you're absolutely right. There's that, even like myself, I had good credit. I had money in the bank. And it wasn't until I started to, network and grow friends outside of my community that I realized, wait a minute, you're getting those type of loans, those sort of access. And, thankfully we were able to move through. But that's exactly why I got so involved, was because, you know what it took? It took somebody else giving me an in and saying, hey, go talk to Sam. I know him, and then that's when I realized that even though on the surface you have these kind of like requirements, that really the secret is the relationships.
Yes.
And what excited me with blockchain, as you're so eloquently or illustrating here, is that's what excites us, is this as opportunity. Like I had Tomer, who's the VP with the SDF and their tech side, talking about creating DeFi products that have access to some of the institutions, something called permissioned pools. And so, the fact that, hey, no matter your color, you go on a screen, you tap in, you have the money, you meet the requirements, you have access to it.
Yes, and
That's all we want.
It should be a simple. It's just a level playing field.
That's it.
That's all it is. And let's take that being lacked out of the traditional financial system to NFTs, right?
Right.
Because when it comes to NFTs, we're talking about creators. And before the segment, we were talking about Basquiat, right? Who,
Great example.
when he died, he was an apprentice for Warhol. So Warhol
Right.
and his estate gets all of the entities. And I'm Haitian American. Basquiat actually was half Puerto Rican, half Haitian.
Really?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
he's representing.
We're taking over. But when you look at the pain point for creators, right? Whether they're writers or artists or musicians or just poets, creators have always had this pain point, right? How do I first protect my intellectual property, monetize it, create a marketplace? They just found a tool that does that. That's blockchain, right? That's
Right.
cryptocurrency. That's smart contracts. So they did not stop being creators. They actually are just now finding that tool, the solution they've been looking for. And I think that's when crypto works best, when we actually provide a solution for consumers. But it's not just the fact that now they have a solution. It's now they get to protect that intellectual property. They get to digitize it and monetize it, right? They get to actually profit
Right.
on that first sale and even on the secondary market. That's
Yes.
game changing.
Game changing. I mean, yeah. When you look at the growth of hip hop, you look at I mean, shoot, even Anita Baker is another
my
artist.
God.
I mean, she wrote all of those songs. She helped produce all of those songs. It wasn't until I want to say just within the last year did she start to actually make money off of the work that she did. I mean, we're talking about billions of capital that she generated that could have gone to her community, that could have gone to maybe her own VC firm. Who knows what she would have done if she had all that.
Exactly.
So, the role that we see in creatives, especially in the Black and Latin communities, is unsurmountable. It's incredible.
Yeah. And when you look at the NFT marketplace, oh my God, it is so inclusive. It is so diverse.
Yes.
And, it has shown us that for crypto, if we can find the pain points for consumers and meet them, we can actually continue to grow this crypto economy that is really going to fuel the global innovation, ecosystem.
Now, this is incredible. I know that we have a couple more times where, like I said, we have this whole hackathon, Stellar NFT hackathon that's going on right now. Before we leave off here, for those that are listening, and especially like I said, in the Black and Latin communities, they want to get involved. What's the best way to tap in to what you're doing and become active and get their voices heard?
Yeah. Well, I will say one of the reasons I talk about the Black and Latino community all the time is because when it comes to inclusion and diversity, we are actually locked out of that as well. Oftentimes, when you talk about inclusion and diversity, you include women, right? You include people from the Asian community, and then we are often the fact that it's diverse, but there are no Black people and no Latino people, right? So I emphasize it not because I don't want other communities to participate. I do that because I think there's been a loophole in diversity where something can be diverse absent of Black people and Latino people. So I want to make sure I'm injecting that, especially since the data shows that we are driving this industry.
Right.
But, I'm very focused on women of color. We are taking over the world. We've taken over the world.
Shout out to all the stellar women out there. Yes.
Yeah. So one of the ways as the access points, I will say that I do have a book. It's called The Clevolution, My Quest.
Nice.
My Quest for Justice in Politics and Crypto. So it's available in Barnes & Nobles and Amazon. People should definitely feel free to follow me on Twitter at @CMesi. We're planning a few things. So we're planning a rally in Washington, D.C. on April 4th, calling innovators of color, specifically Black and Latino innovators of color, to show up and show that we're present.
I need to book my flight for that. There you go.
And I would say, one of our biggest barriers to entry or even to the growth of the adoption we have is education. It's education. And we need to do more of that. And that's one of the great things I've loved working with the Blockchain Association and Stellar is to make sure that we're engaging communities, making sure we're educating them, making sure we're providing access to resources. So I'm excited. I'm working with the Black Chain Association. We'll be launching a foundation, a 501c3 that will be focused just on education, because the plan is to actually go into key communities, go into El Paso, go into Detroit, go into Oakland, like go into the Bronx, and collaborate with the financial literacy centers, the HBCUs, right, the libraries, these public institutions that already have the consumer base, and they just need industry partners. And we can do town halls, tutorials. We can hear from them what they need, and we can provide it. One of the reasons I love Stellar is every time there's been a need, they've met it. You know, one of the Stellar last year spoke at the Congressional Hispanic Institute annual conference and presented and talked about projects that they're doing with entities like Visa, like the Tala Project, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And as I've mentioned, I'm Haitian American, and we actually did a briefing for the Embassy of Haiti with the ambassador, and Stella spoke, and Danelle spoke, and one of the participants said, we would like to create a community in Haiti. And Danelle said, sure, we'll be there to support. And, you know, the team with ARC and others are about to launch a Haitian Blockchain Alliance in Haiti for the developer community there to actually grow it. So it's really about, you know, the industry is happy to respond, happy to connect. We just need to do some of that matchmaking, and I'm hoping the foundation can do more of that and connect our industry players with the folks they need to be so they can actually fuel this decentralized economy.
Wow. I mean, we could definitely just end on that right there. It's incredible, Cleve. I mean, what you've done, what the future looks like. And just want to say that, you know, I appreciate you stopping by. I'm excited as anything that I can do, our community can do to help support you. Yeah. We are 100% behind you. Look,
thank you for the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's, you know, we're just trying, you know. We're here at South by Southwest. The incredible Stellar NFT hackathon is going on 48 hours. We're having a lot of fun. We're making some strong connections. It's so great to be out. Make sure to follow along. Thank you again so much. The person to follow through, download her book right now, because I know I am. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you.